Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about surprise new content for one of the Switch's best games and the weird return of a GTA knockoff. It's going to be a good one because we have TurboShawn McDowell on the show. Sean, how are you doing?
A little tired. I've been
Same.
a little busy, Jeff.
Yeah, you've had a lot going on, yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. Playing for the BOMBATHON next week, Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And we're getting a whole bunch of things set up. Jan's already out doing stuff. I'm filling in for Jan. Jan will never say this. Being Jan on your own sucks. So that's why I'm here. But now I don't have a Jan, so now I'm very busy and very tired. But still finding time to play some games, Jeff. Playing some more Pokemon Legends Zaza last night, and that game continues to be very fun. Hopefully tonight and put some more time in with Ninja Gaiden 4, because that is also very fun.
Yeah, I want to spend some time with that. Playing some other games that'll be out here soon that we could talk about. But then, yeah, Pokemon is really solid. They really found the fun there.
We had a little tech hiccup during the Bombcast yesterday. I feel like you didn't get much of a chance to talk about. How are you finding ZA?
Yeah, it's a really well done sort of realization of what Pokemon can be other than just the core games, and I think that the creatures. I think that the real time combat with the meters and stuff, the cooldowns, it fits really well with that stuff. Makes it feel very dynamic and engaging. So and you know its shortcomings, its visual shortcomings. Most of those sacrifices I'm okay with. There's some stuff that's like, man, they can't even just do a little ambient occlusion on just some of these models.
It's wild. Yeah. It is the kind of thing where like you kind of have to know what to look for a little bit. And when people are mentioning stuff like that yesterday, I'm like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but man, I didn't notice this. And then last night while I'm playing, I'm like, oh, I see. Yeah, like the interstitial buildings between the main objectives are pretty flat. And it's like, I think it was, Oh, we had a tiny F. I think we had
we're back.
Just a little hiccup. Okay.
Yep.
Probably restream y'all. Sorry about that. I think it was maybe Sonic Unleashed where they talked about, we put a lot of time and effort into making these levels. And that was probably a waste of time because people just zoom past it because it's a Sonic game. So we had to refocus on things that people would care about. And that's why Generations and then eventually Frontiers looked a lot different. Because it's stuff you're just going to zoom past. I feel like that's if you're going to be a studio coming off of horrible mismanagement and like trying to get your feet on the ground. I think they made a lot of smart development decisions with ZA, and that's why it could look better. But hey, at least it's no Scarlet and Violet, and so I think it's looking and running good, especially on Switch 2, and I'm having a blast playing it because that combat system, like I said, fixes a lot of problems that the turn-based system does have. There's room for the turn-based system, but I'm really happy that like you said, like there's a reason to use Leer. Like quick attack actually has more utility. Awesome. It's cool. Yeah. Yep.
It's very cool. Yeah. I think Pokemon will be fine if it doesn't get in its own way a lot of times, and that's what some of the recent games have been doing. And it's like, none of this stuff is on the level with a lot of other games in terms of visuals, sure, and that's worth calling out still. But it's just if it's not getting in its own way, I'm going to be able to get to the fun, and that's what matters for these games for the most part for me. All right, let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb, video game doofuses. We're independent games media. We are out here because we have you at our backs. You went to giantbomb.com/join, became a premium member. Those of you who have done that, thank you so much. It has gone a very long way towards ensuring we can continue to do really cool stuff like that upcoming Bombathon. Like we're planning to get together for Extra Life and stuff like that. So all that's possible through you all. Excuse me. And then if you didn't do that, though, you can become a premium member. You could support us and get cool stuff, get the ad-free versions of the shows, and you can get some extra goodies here or there. There's extra voicemails each week for Voicemail Dump Truck, things along those lines. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Matt Piscatello. He's got a new Circana report for September 2025. Feels like we just did this because the last one was like a little bit of a longer reporting period, so it was actually just earlier this month. But this one's for September this time. And again, as always, these are U.S. numbers that include some digital and almost all physical sales. Let's start here. Borderlands 4 led several hit new releases, helping deliver 10% growth. That's the headline from Matt. U.S. video game market September spending trends. September 2025 projected U.S. total spending on video game hardware, content, and accessories grew 10% versus a year ago to $4.8 billion. Several hit new releases, Nintendo Switch 2 hardware, and non-mobile subscriptions fueled the gains. U.S. video game market for the last 13 months. September 2025 was the 5th consecutive month of year-on-year spending growth for the U.S. video game market. I think, always worth pointing out, Sean, last year was kind of down on a year that was already down previously. Like it was like several years in a row of seeing that stuff. And some of the months were like way down last year. But it does feel like a small, steady, sustainable march back toward some kind of growth here. Or maybe it's just like things cost more and it's the same number of people buying things. Could that also be what's happening here?
Yeah, I think so. I think the slow march back to normalcy is hitting the nail on the head. Because the pandemic, gigantic boost in hardware sales and everything. That's why we had so many of these issues with studios overstaffing and everything like that, and not realizing, this is not how things are always going to be, huh? We're gonna mostly stamp out this virus that's keeping everyone inside playing video games, and we are gonna get, don't look outside too much, but to a relative normalcy. And that's, I think, what we're seeing here is that slow slide back. But as long as it is a slower one back to sustainability, that would be okay. It is a different story on that development side of things. But with the hardware, it seems like, PlayStation's still doing great. Nintendo seems to be doing really well with the Switch 2. Xbox, a whole different story because they're trying to play a different field. But it seems like in general, people are doing okay in that field.
Yeah, it seems like as far as like how these games are selling, there are a ton of new games on the top 20 here, and this is the top 20 best-selling games, physical and full game digital from the Nintendo eShop, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC platforms. And it does include a digital in a lot of cases, but in some cases it does not. We'll try to call that out. But Borderlands 4 was number one. That was its first month on the chart. And this is one that always felt like it would be kind of quietly huge if it hit with the right audience. And I think it did exactly that. While also, I think, maybe missing with our audience harder than a Borderlands has ever even missed before. Maybe that's why it just felt like that really came and went. But I think that the average person out there probably is still like, oh, yeah, Borderlands 4. I love Borderlands.
Yeah, I mean, I've weirdly only ever heard good things about Borderlands from a casual audience, like people who I talk to online, like the Giant Bomb community and like you and Mike and everyone, all of our colleagues. I never hear people talk about Borderlands. But then like my IRL friends who are more casual about things do talk about how much they still love Borderlands 2 and will like revisit it on their Xboxes and stuff. So I'd imagine that's why Borderlands 4 would pop off, is because that the when we analyze these things, we always need to remember that the quiet market is often the biggest, as we see with things like mobile. You don't necessarily hear people chattering about, say, Pokemon Go, but it continues to be one of the biggest things in the world. You don't necessarily hear people talking about what's new in Minecraft or whatever. They're just putting out videos that do insanely well, and then that audience eats it up and keeps playing the games and stuff. I think it all feeds into, what we're seeing with Borderlands 4 topping the chart here.
Yeah, so it says here from Matt, Borderlands 4 was the best-selling premium video game of September, debuting as the number 3 best-selling game of 2025 year to date. It was September's bestseller on both Xbox and aggregated PC storefront charts. Let's see here. Borderlands 4 generated the highest launch month dollar sales of any title in franchise history, nearly 30% higher than the previous best, Borderlands 3. Borderlands 4 was the first Borderlands title to launch as the best-selling game of its release month. So it's like, yeah, it's huge. This is a
Yeah.
really good result. 30% more than Borderlands 3. So, I saw a ton of commercials for this game on TV. That they really are going for that quiet
Yeah, there you
audience
go.
that is not listening to anything that we're saying. Not that we've even been saying that Borderlands 4. We had a fun time playing that game. It was fine. It's just
Yeah.
like it just came and went. That's all.
It also
And
doesn't help that in this audience, some of the people being dinguses online
yes.
about it have sort of poisoned perception of it, even if it may be a really good game that also is hitting with a bigger audience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Randy Pitchford kind of becomes the story because
Yeah.
it's a name that people recognize, and his behavior was certainly newsworthy and questionable, and that's kind of that was a distraction for again our audience. And I'm sure they're actually in a lot of circles, Pitchford's probably better known than a lot of game developers. Even still, most people are showing up for the name Borderlands, and that clearly happened here. Let's see here. More on the chart. NBA 2K26 was back again at number 2. It was number 1 last month. But then we get EA Sports Football Club 26. That was new, number 3. Ghost of Yotei, I think only had 4-ish days on the chart, and it ended up at number 4. That is, I think it's a pretty good result for that game, especially compared to it's only behind the massive soccer game, one of the perennial top 5 sellers of the year in NBA 2K, and then Borderlands 4, which we were talking about, is the biggest Borderlands yet. That's always kind of been pretty huge. What do you think about Ghost of Yotei's results here?
I mean, anytime that a game exclusive to one single platform charts decently well, that's a win, because the target audience is so much smaller than something like a football club or like a Madden or any of these big games, even Borderlands 4 for that matter. Anything that is multi-platform, going out to a ton of people, especially if it's not cross-gen, because there are still plenty of people out there with the older systems or like a pro model or something like that. So the fact that this PS5 game did decently well is like that's a good sign. That seems like in the future maybe it is another one of those. It's kind of I feel like the bar for Sony of like a success for them is one of those 10 million sellers in the long run is kind of what it feels like they aim for with like Spider-Man games and the various other ones like the Ghost games and stuff. So I don't know. As far as I can tell, that seems like a success, right?
Yeah, I think so as well. And it came out October 2nd. The chart went through October 4th. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 3 days. I think that this is something that will be kind of in the same zone on next month's chart. And it seems like the game's probably doing just fine. A bunch more new games on here, though. Let's see here. Right behind that at number 7, Silent Hill F. Number 8, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Number 9, Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evilise Chronicles. Again, these are all new to the chart. Number 12, NHL just NHL 26, not 2K. I wish that series was still going. Number 13, Digimon Story Time Stranger. And number 14, Super Mario Galaxy plus Super Mario Galaxy 2. And that's just the physical versions of that game, which I expect to do significantly worse, actually, than the digital version of Super Mario Galaxy 2. Because I think a lot of people are just going to get that game, since many people probably already played it in 3D All-Stars.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so, and then right behind Mario Galaxy, to kind of put into perspective, Minecraft is right there, and that's usually...
Minecraft, Forza Horizon, Grand Theft Auto 5, shocker.
Very familiar games. Donkey Kong Bonanza, number 18 still.
Hey!
Red Dead Redemption 2 is number 20 on this chart.
Damn, still in top 20. Wow.
Yeah, yes, it just, continue. It's always a little bit behind Grand Theft Auto, but it's not that far behind Grand Theft Auto in terms of just generating money every month. Silent Hill F, we've already heard good things from Konami on that one, right? That's like their fastest selling Silent Hill game ever. So I think kind of comparing it to the other things around it is a little bit more difficult. It's like, no, we already know they're very happy with it. I'm sure they scoped out that game with its previous performance in mind, hoping for a breakout. And it really does seem like a breakout, although it's behind like Helldivers 2, a game that probably had some thing happen last month. I can't remember. I know that game's finance popularity over again in many different ways.
Maybe it had a big expansion, because I heard that they had a big update. Ironically, that like I just heard secondhand on Full Nerd Will talking about this, but like apparently it ballooned in size in PC because they added support for hard drives, and like
Oh,
so they needed to like add a bunch of like duplications of data that made it like 150
right.
gigs.
I did remember hearing about this. Yes.
Yeah, so
God, that's silly.
I don't know, maybe they had an event or a major expansion that went alongside that major update.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Okay.
Xbox port came
Was
out.
that the Xbox port was just that not that long ago? That's crazy. If the
It was
Xbox
at least recently. I can't remember it was like just 1 month ago or if it was a little bit longer. But yeah,
you're
it makes
probably
sense.
right. It
It's in
just
more
time is
places now.
so rough to keep track of right now. It's like it feels like forever ago, but it probably
Yes.
almost certainly wasn't. All right, let's read some of these other notes from Matt on the results here. EA Sports FC 26 debuted as the third best-selling game in September, full game dollar sales. And the 15th bestseller of 2025 year to date. It ranked among the top 7 best-selling games across each of the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, and aggregated PC storefront charts. Let's see, NBA 2K26 became 2025's best-selling game year to date, supplanting Monster Hunter Wilds. So that means that game is already at like 10 million copies sold plus, because
Yeah.
we know Wilds was kind of slowing down pretty hardcore. Maybe that's around 10, 11 million copies. Although that's worldwide, isn't it? So that this is just United States. Helldivers 2 was the 4th best-selling game of September on Xbox platforms. There you go. After debuting 3rd during its August launch month, so it's just the 2nd month of that. Helldivers 2 ranked as the 6th best-selling game overall in September and was it was 19th for 2025 year-to-date period. That's impressive. And then let's go over to hardware. September spending on video game hardware increased by 24% when compared to a year ago, reaching $324 million. Nintendo Switch 2 sales were again able to offset the double-digit year-on-year percentage declines seen across PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and the original Switch. Nintendo Switch 2 was the best-selling video game hardware in both units and dollar sales, not surprising, and 2025 year-to-date period, with PlayStation 5 ranking 2nd across those measures and time periods. The other consoles continue to kind of plummet. It is that time of of their generation, certainly, where they're on the other side of the bell curve. Maybe things are dropping or continue to drop faster than maybe they normally would, but this generation was also pretty front heavy, so maybe that makes some sense. Switch 2 definitely living up to its side of the bargain, though, right? It like people are, hey, let's wait for Switch 2 to kind of see if that can really reinvigorate video game sales in the United States and elsewhere, and it's done what it can on that front, right?
Yeah, as far as I can tell. I don't know. What would you say is the like mark of the Switch 2 doing well? Because it is like a sequel system. Those sometimes don't do as well if there isn't like a long established history of it. So I think like even if it's in the ballpark of keeping pace with the Switch 1, I know it had an explosive launch out the gate because people were excited. But at least if it can like sort of stay within a certain range that's seen as a success. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I think that's I think you nailed it. That if it stays within the ballpark of Switch 1 in terms of pace of sale, then that is a really good sign for the Switch 2. And so far, it's been well ahead of PlayStation 4, let alone Switch, which was way behind PlayStation 4 in terms of rate of sale. Now, and that's beyond that initial sales period. That does include like the next sort of gasp. At least according to when we had Matt on earlier this month, he explained that. That's like, oh no, like we have a little bit more information here. We can just say this is not just about a lot of excitement right on day one. Still, though, the holiday will be we'll tell a lot more of the story. But I think already it's clearly doing better than like a 3DS versus a DS or something like that.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
So that's a good sign for this system. And then it does seem like I think seeing that like EA Football Club was also in the top 10 on Switch and Switch 2. It's like, okay, some of these third-party games can also sell on the system. It's not going to be every single one, but it will provide some sort of safe ground to go to for some of these third-party publishers.
Yeah, and this holiday is going to be very safe for them because they have a Pokemon game, and it's not just they have the game, it's the new bundled game. It's replacing Mario Kart. So they are going to sell a lot of $500 systems this holiday season. And so I think that's going to give them a huge boost. And by spacing that out, Mario Kart earlier in the year and then Pokemon at the end of the year, I think that's keeping the momentum, and maybe switching out the bundle game more often than they did with the Switch One, because Switch One, as we always say, it was like the Mario Kart 8 holiday bundle was just the thing. That's kind of just what they always did, and you didn't necessarily get a ton outside of that. But they keep putting in a big game that a lot of people want, and it is, they're still like basically selling those games for $50, and then people are getting a quote unquote deal, like a $10 or $20 discount by buying it with the system.
Right.
I think Nintendo's still going to be happy with that. It's not just tossing out one of their games that could be selling more.
I agree. Last thing I think I'm going to point out here, accessory spending fell 10% in September to 197 million. This is controllers, extra things for your systems. Game pads were the big reason for the decline, according to Matt Piscatella. I think September will probably mark a real lull for live service shooters and stuff like that. And we are going to get right on the other side of that immediately with Battlefield 6 launching, and during the next reporting period, and then Arc Raiders. I think immediately right after this, controller sales are going to bounce back up, which I think these games are kind of the primary seller of those kinds of devices.
Yeah.
All right. Other than like a new console launching, Nintendo Switch 2 is massive for selling controllers. Let's do this next story here. PowerWash Simulator 2 reviews are in. It has an 84 on OpenCritic, which is a shame because Mike has it in Fantasy Critic. He's going to catch up. Mark Delaney at GameSpot gave it a 7 out of 10 and said PowerWash Sim was a breakout hit in 2021, and the sequel is a reminder of how that happened, though sometimes it feels like it's just punching in for work. Kieran Verbruge at Well Played says, or gave it an 8 out of 10, I should say, and says it's not a particularly ambitious follow-up, but PowerWash Simulator 2 earns its sequel status through effective upgrades and thoughtful improvements across the board. It's a big uptick in looks, feel, and play, and still the most fun you can have doing a chore. We're going to play this on UPF on Friday, everybody. So looking forward to that. Although we might throw in some other games as well. I like PowerWash Simulator a lot. I didn't get into it as much as Dan did, who was like, oh, yeah, no, this is totally like my Zen out game where I can listen to a podcast and just play it through the whole thing. I'm like, no, I had fun playing with friends, and then I kind of didn't need to check it out anymore. How about you? You a PowerWash Simulator guy?
Nah, it doesn't really do anything for me because it is just that, doing the job thing. I know a lot of people who got really into it, and it is their like Zen, zone out, do something else, put something else on in the background kind of game. I think that's cool. There's certainly a space for that. It's just that thanks to handhelds, I do that with so many other games already. Like if I'm in a lull of an RPG, that's usually the type of thing I do, or some more arcadey games like Vampire Survivors or something like that. That's usually the space that I'm trading all that in. But yeah, I I can see this one doing pretty well. Again, one of those long tail games because people have affinity for the first one.
Yep, I agree. I think I always wonder like how sequels like this work, and it's like, oh, is this the kind of thing where you just keep adding more content? Is it like a Goat Simulator 3 situation where you try to add in a bunch of different crazy stuff to like just make it feel like a jam-packed package with a high value? It probably seems like they're going that route of like, let's just add a bunch of stuff and then make the game look even nicer than the first game did, which actually could go a long way. If you're going to do this a game you just kind of stare at, I think the improved visuals will probably be something I will notice and be thankful for. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, plenty more headlines, including Nintendo updating a game, surprisingly. We'll talk about that and more. If you want to skip out on these ads, there is a premium version of the audio show and video show available if you go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. We will be right back.
What's that? Can you hear that, folks? Oh, God, it's coming down the pike. It's the Giant Bombathon. My goodness, folks, we are 1 week away or less, depending on when you're hearing this. That's right. The Giant Bombathon is coming your way live from the East Coast. 5 p.m. Eastern on Monday, October 27th, to 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, October 28th. Take Tuesday off. Listen, we had to do this on a Monday night. We know it's during the week. Take Tuesday off. Take it off now. Get your requests in. That's right, 24 hours of local multiplayer shenanigans, gimmicks, fun, hullabaloo, all this stuff. Pyro, ballyhoo. No pyro. We had the confetti cannon last time. That didn't work well. We're going to have a lot of fun, folks. It's going to be the 5 owners of Giant Bomb. You know who we are. And we also have Chuck and Sean flying out to join the festivities. That's right. Remember, Monday at 5 p.m. into Tuesday at 5 p.m. Take Tuesday off work. We're going to be there live on Twitch, on YouTube. Check us out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll make it worth your while. We got some incentives. We got some stuff you might like to see. I got things I'm biting my tongue on. I'd like to say some of these incentives, but you'll have to tune in Monday night, 5 p.m. Eastern. Be there! The Giant Bombathon!
It's Game Mess Mornings. We're back. Jeff Grubb, TurboShawn. We're hanging out, talking about video games. Real quick, before we get into the next headline, I did check OpenCritic again. Once Upon a Katamari reviews are out as well. That is an 81. Shack News gave it a 7 out of 10. Let's see here. PlayStation Universe's Joe Richards gave it a 9.5 out of 10. It says, Once Upon a Katamari feels like a confident step back into the series after having a crack at some remasters, and feels like a game that perfectly follows up on what those remasters set out to do. Everything we all love about Katamari is still here and absolutely kicking. Let's see. It's got an 8.5 from Neil Ronahan at Nintendo World Report, who says it's even better that the one on Nintendo Switch feels like the third game in a trilogy with the 2 original PlayStation 2 games that are also available in HD on the system. Once Upon a Katamari is a full-fledged refresh entry in a series that hasn't had this kind of a shot in the arm since HD TVs were a thing. Here's hoping we get more consistent drip of Katamari following this charming entry that largely understands why the first ones were such cult hits. Hey, that sounds about right. I'm ready to show up for this game, and this is like where this series ends up, right? In terms of the number on an OpenCritic. What I just want to hear is it gets Katamari and delivers on that. I'll play some more of that for sure.
Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I did play a good amount of Rolling Live when that hit Apple Arcade, and like I said when I talked about on the Bombcast, that's a game where play on your phone, your iPad, or your Apple TV, whatever the case may be. But you just play with a normal controller. I just slapped the 8-bit Ultimate Mobile on my phone, and it does kind of just feel like Katamari, and Katamari feels good. And so if this game is, that game being a mobile game was structured a little bit more bite-sized and challenge-based, and if this is just more Katamari, going through levels, escalating, to doing ridiculous stuff, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to hear. And it sounds like they're doing a good job with this one. So I'm pretty excited because I love that series.
Yep, me too. I just remember seeing the reviews and being like, I love what this sounds like. I still don't fully grasp what is making it so special. So I'm going to get it myself. And it's like one of the reasons I got a PS2. And I love that game. All right, let's move on here. 2 years after release, Nintendo is updating Pikmin 4 with new content, including a photo mode. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. More than 2 years after its release, Nintendo is updating Pikmin 4. Releasing in November, a free Pikmin 4 update will introduce new decor Pikmin hidden in each map, which can be transferred to the mobile game Pikmin Bloom. Decor Pikmin, originally seen in the Pikmin Bloom smart device app. These curious Pikmin are marching their way to Pikmin 4. Decor Pikmin, as the name implies, are Pikmin that don some form of decoration found in the world. You may see them wearing something like a wind-up toy, a donut, a snow hat, and much more. So they're shinies. This is a shiny, I think. I actually don't understand shinies. But
just alternately colored.
Okay. Well, alternately clothed Pikmin then is what we can get here.
This sounds a lot like Pokemon Home support coming to the Pikmin series. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's just sounds like a tiny little thing, and for some reason Pikmin Bloom continues to just chug along. Like Nintendo still puts out press releases about that thing all the time. I like Pikmin Bloom. I've not touched it in a long time, but I liked it. And if that's the reason they come back and do just a tiny bit more with Pikmin 4, I'm all for it. Let's see what else they have here. The field camera takes stylish photos of your character, your squad, and whatever you like with this new feature. It's just the camera mode. And new creature activity levels. Move at your own pace and enjoy the new relaxed mode, where creatures won't attack unless you attack them. Or kick things up a notch in the fiery fierce mode. These modes can, that's like a higher difficulty, basically. These modes can be selected when starting a new game or changed at any point after from the game's settings. They love descriptive difficulty levels. That this is similar to what they had in Kirby, right? Where it was like wild woods mode, and then relaxed mode was the easy mode or something like that. Or breezy mode, I think it was. Yeah.
And they can't just call it, "Hey, I'm a parent playing the game with my kid."
Yes.
Difficulty. So they call this one a little different.
Exactly. That's 100% what it is. Yeah, this my kids liked Pikmin, but it was maybe a bit too intense in some circumstances where it's like, oh, they don't fully understand the idea of an invisible sphere in which the influence of this enemy character will draw aggro. Like that's something that's like just a little bit advanced for them, although they were getting the idea. Like letting them explore that world at their own pace and not get attacked unless they attack something else. That's cool. It doesn't sound like much though. I don't know. Do you feel like maybe they were planning more for this and they're like, no, let's like cut those plans and just focus on Pikmin 5, or like what are they trying to get at with this stuff?
Well, we also have, the CG short was a Pikmin thing, and then they're updating Pikmin 4, so maybe there's something else Pikmin related coming up soon. Maybe. Whether that's a Pikmin 5 announcement in like 6 months and they just want to remind people, hey, Pikmin exists, or if it is, that's going to be another movie from them, whatever the case may be. Clearly, they want people to at least remember Pikmin for some reason. I think whatever that may be, we'll see that within the next year or so.
Yeah, I think that Pikmin is an active, like ongoing concern for them, where they're like, hey, Pikmin 4
are a concern, Jeff. Did you see that short?
Yes, they definitely are. They're still a threat. They're out there doing their thing. It's that last game was the best-selling Pikmin by far. It did really well, especially in Japan. It did extremely well. And we see Nintendo, like when that happens, to them, I think that is a sign that it's worth not just doing more Pikmin games, but more with Pikmin. So I think you might be right that they might have just any number of other things, not necessarily ready to go, but in the works. And so when they are picking like tasks, or like when they're like when they have a little bit of extra time that they could spend on a game, like hey, go back and do something with Pikmin 4 just so we can like make sure that we're fresh and ready to go to work on those games or whatever, or can keep it in people's minds. I think they want people on the Switch 2 to be thinking of Pikmin 4 as a relatively new game still, which is fair because it's fantastic, and if you haven't played it, it'll probably be really great on the Switch 2.
Yeah, it kind of is relatively new. It's 2 years old at this point, so it's like they can still maybe just want to see some more sales from that game.
Yep, that it could be that simple. And I don't think that game needs visual updates because it ran well on Switch 1. I'm sure if anything, it just runs even better on Switch 2.
Was it a 60 FPS game?
I think so. Yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Then I would assume it's just 1080 60 on the Switch 2 now.
Yeah, and
nice thing about having just a more powerful version of the same thing is that dynamic resolution and frame rates are fixed now. That's good because 1080 60 is all most people are going to want, even if we could get more.
Zacky's like he thinks it's 900p. So like and it was it was 30 FPS on Switch 1.
Never mind, Jeff. They gotta update this game ASAP. What are we doing over here?
Yeah, come on. You're just wasting our time, Nintendo. Then I guess I'm surprised that that's not announced as part of this. Although maybe it does run at 60 on Switch 2, just like naturally because they unlocked it.
They don't really do that.
Yeah, that's it's like, even if it's was something that was happening just because the Switch 2 is more powerful, I still think they would want to like codify that as part of this update and make that a big deal. So it's weird they didn't say anything. Yep, looks like it's still 30 frames per second. Okay, yeah, that sounds like Nintendo. I would love them to continue updating this game then, and maybe doing more, because it really was my favorite game that year. Even that's a year with Tears of the Kingdom. I really like Pikmin 4 a ton. I want an excuse to replay it, so I want them to do just a little bit more and give me that excuse.
You really just did throw everyone a curveball at that game of the year, didn't you?
Yeah, myself included. I was like,
you knew what you were doing.
Once I was up on stage.
Once you figured it out, because I know you were debating it, but
I was like, I think I'm doing this, and I was really happy. Pikmin 4 rules.
Jeff.
Remedy's CEO steps down 2 weeks after it issued a profit warning due to FBC Firebreak's, quote, weak sales. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Remedy Entertainment has announced that CEO Tero Virtala has left his role with immediate effect. In a statement to investors, the company explained that Virtala and the board of directors had mutually agreed that Tero Virtala will step down from his position, this is a quote, that's why it sounds like this, as the company's CEO with immediate effect. Virtala was appointed CEO in August 2016 and will now continue at the service of the company during a transition period where he will help with the handover of duties to the new CEO. Remedy co-founder Marcus Maki has been appointed as the interim CEO until a permanent replacement can be found. And then basically there's a note here with like Maki's thanking him, and yeah, it's just like the normal pleasantries. I think like we can probably say this is almost entirely due to FBC Firebreak coming along at like the end of a series of games from Remedy that varied from well received to very well received, like from like game of the year contenders to like, oh no, that's just a solid good game. Like that's what they were putting out, and none of them really seemed like they broke out in terms of sales. And then I do think the Alan Wake 2 decision to lock it down to Epic Games, not in a way that a lot of other games did, where it was like, no, Epic is publishing this game, so it's never going to be on Steam. I think that was kind of a fatal flaw for that game's chances. Even though, of course, they got money up front from Epic, they paid for the game, like they published it, or at least paid for a lot of it. Still feels like that was a flawed decision. And then FBC Firebreak kind of comes out the end there being like, here's our chance to like put out something that can make regular money, can draw an audience. We're going to put it out on Game Pass and I think PlayStation Plus. I think it was on both.
I believe so.
And it just ran into a brick wall, which is not too shocking for games like that these days. These multiplayer games where people have a million options. It's like you have to have a certain combination of factors to get people's attention and make them think that the game will be worthy of their time. And FBC just seemed to miss the mark on all of those things. And so, yeah, this kind of feels like, all right, we need to change directions and someone needs to take the fall here. And we need to show our investors that we are taking accountability. What do you think the future of Remedy is, though?
Oh, that is an excellent question, Jeff. Yeah, because I pulled up their Wikipedia to see like what have they been doing for the past decade or so? Because you mentioned like they do have games that range from like a really solid to like game of the year contenders. I'm like, since Quantum Break, it has kind of been like a series of ups and downs, though.
Yeah,
like
ups and downs.
Quantum Break was mixed, but then obviously Control was really good. And they helped on Crossfire X, which I didn't even realize that game's gone. It has been for a long time because it got shut down within a year.
Really? You can't even like download it anymore? I mean, you can't like download it new, I should say. Okay, interesting.
No idea. But then Alan Wake 2 happens. But then FBC Firebreak happens. It's like, wow, that is a weird series of pendulum swings there. Like you said, the Epic exclusivity is always going to hurt a game. That sparked that was twisting on a knife in me a little bit, because I'm like, that's what killed Rumbleverse. Like that was an Epic game, and so they were like, well, it's only gonna be on the Epic store, and that game would have been biggest on PC, and it was not on the biggest platform on PC, Steam. And so anytime that we still do that, it's going to hurt sales. It's going to hurt mind share and market share, and you just can't do that anymore. So yeah, this seems like a weird series of flubs that maybe, I don't know, maybe didn't need to happen. FBC Firebreak always struck me as an odd choice for a game. It never made sense to me.
Yeah, it's like when I played it, I was like, yeah, there's something here, but I also see all the reasons why this kind of game is difficult. Well, I don't see all the reasons. If I did, I would be a rich person telling people how to market their game. I saw some things where it was like, okay, you know, games like this seem to do really well based on their characters, and this feels a little bit more generic, and that seemed like a challenge to me. And then exactly why it seemed to like get zero traction with people, I'm not exactly sure, but it didn't. And that it just like for them, I think they were hoping, okay, well then maybe Game Pass and PlayStation Plus can sort of close the loop, because once people play, they might get into it. And it's like, yeah, I think people enjoyed it for a weekend. And no one is making these games to be popping off for one weekend. Like that can never work. So, as
someone who's not really into Remedy's games, when FBC Firebreak popped up in whatever presentation, I assume it's Xbox, I just looked at it, I'm like, this looks so generic. Oh, this is oh yeah, FBC, like this is a Remedy thing but wow, it just looks like so many of these other games, and I imagine that would have an impact on when you have a game like that, like a multiplayer game, you need the casual audience to take note. And if you're not standing out in a way that, is going to draw people away from other games, or at least really, really capture that core audience, you gotta sign yourself up for failure. So you did say sort of at the top, like, what's the future of Remedy? And I hope it's leaning into the things that they're good at. I know that can be hard to fund, and that's why they do projects like these, is to, help pay the bills. It's very much like a platinum game situation. You do the license game so you can pay for the passion project. I hope that they can go back to doing like Alan Wake 3 and something like that,
Yep. I agree, and I think that I can't think of anything else for them to do. So I hope that's the plan and what works. Of like just going back and making a Remedy game, and I do think that they are primed for one of them to really break out. And it's like I think it probably would have been Alan Wake 2 a little bit more had it been on Steam, and of course, people pointed out, and rightfully so. Epic published the game. That means it got made because Epic got involved. So Epic keeping it exclusive was sort of non-negotiable at a certain point, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, to be clear, that's Epic's stupidity. I just wanted that very clear. They should not be doing that. But anyways,
right? And it doesn't even have the effect that they want it to have in terms of getting people to use Epic Store. So yeah, it's frustrating. So it's like, okay, I hope that they can just go back and like the next Control game is a huge hit for them, because that's what they do well. They're kind of the only ones in this space continuing to make games in that exact way. And it would be a shame if they had to stop doing that because they made some mistakes in some other areas and their good games didn't have the best chance to succeed.
Yeah.
All right. Trial Studio Ubisoft RedLynx is laying off up to 60 staff as it refocuses on small screens. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Ubisoft is preparing to lay off 60 staff at RedLynx. A statement posted on the RedLynx website says that Ubisoft has announced a restructuring proposal for the Finland-based studio as, quote, part of the company's global efforts to simplify, reduce costs, and ensure a stronger prioritization and efficiency across the company's worldwide studio network. Go to hell with that. The statement says that Ubisoft will negotiate the proposals with its staff in collective negotiations before making a decision. That's just like going through the bureaucracy of the local laws before enacting these layoffs. So Ubisoft says this shift in focus would let RedLynx better optimize its resources and position itself for sustainable success. And of course, that is the shift to specializing in small screens, meaning mobile games, including 2 unannounced mobile games the studio is currently leading development on. This feels like the state of Ubisoft, right? If you are not part of that Vantage, whatever the new studio name was for the team that is going to oversee, let's see, it was the Tom Clancy shooter, Ghost Recon, and then Far Cry, and then Assassin's Creed. Those are like the 3 that are in the safe zone of getting a lot of attention. And then the question has been like, what's happening with everything else? And I think this is what's happening with everything else. You are either going to make something small and light and like less risk, like a mobile game, or you are probably just going to get laid off. And those are the 2 things. And that seems like exactly what happened here, which is a shame because those Trials games, even the bad ones, are good. Like even the bad ones are a ton of fun. I just, every time one comes out, it's like it finds an audience. It has, hundreds of thousands of players, of people on those leaderboards. And it's like, can't we just find a world where those continue to make sense? But it's certainly not under Ubisoft because very few things make sense under that publisher right now.
Yeah, I mean, Ubisoft is all over the freaking board. They can have some really good single player games, and then they still get caught up in trying to chase multiplayer trends and stuff like that. Like we saw with, what the hell was their Call of Duty clone called? X Defiant?
X Defiant, yeah.
Yeah, like they don't. Someone somewhere is not making good decisions. I think maybe there's a couple obvious finger pointing that we can do, but yeah. Hey, thank God mobile games are stable, and everybody always does successful on mobile, right? No, there's a reason that all the big mobile games all look the same. It's because everybody wants their waifu gacha sims and not much else does well, like card games and stuff. Sure. Otherwise, it's existing IP coming over, like Call of Duty and stuff. They'll still hit with that audience because it's the people who are going to play it on their PS4 playing it on their phones. And so what's going to be the approach here? What are they hoping to have happen? Are they going to make a Bejeweled game or something? That's the only thing I can think of that could be like sustainable here, unless they're trying to adapt something else and they need more like all hands on deck for that.
Yeah, I think that's. I think you're mostly right that it's not very much about like, oh, what kind of game are they going to get to make? It's like, no, this is the only game the only scale of game that we're going to budget you out for. If you want to make a game, it's got to be a mobile game because you can prototype that for, a few tens of thousands of dollars with a handful of employees. And then then we could scale it up if we like your idea, if we test it out, or as opposed to another, trials game. It's like they know the budget for that. It's big. And then they also know the potential return for the most part. And it's smaller than the lottery ticket of a mobile game, even though we both know that the game they make is not going to be in the top 10 on iTunes' mobile store or anything like that. Those have been the same, 15 games cycling in and out for the last, 12 years. So, yeah, you're right. This just feels like them being like, hey, let's really reduce what this studio is capable of. And that means all you have the capacity to make is a mobile game.
You really haven't used an iOS device in a very long time, have you?
Yeah. When I still look up a chart, it's still sometimes called the iTunes chart, but it's like, yeah,
it's just the App Store for what it's worth.
The App Store. Yep.
Anyways,
all right, let's hit these last couple of stories. Scarface: The World Is Yours PC re-released announced.
This is a weird one.
Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Yeah, it's weird. There's more going on. I think this story continues to pop off. Hong Kong-based publisher EC Digital Entertainment will re-release the PC version of open-world action-adventure game Scarface: The World Is Yours on Steam and Epic Game Store, the company announced. The Epic Games Store version is available now for $30, though its early release was unintentionally pushed live due to technical issues during the back-end configuration. EC Digital Entertainment said in a note on Steam. We want to clarify that our intended long-term release platforms include Steam, and we're now accelerating our efforts to finalize this version, EC Digital Entertainment said. As such, you may notice that the current Steam page includes placeholder content. This will be updated leading up to the official release. Okay, yeah. Scarface: The World Is Yours first launched back in 2007 for a bunch of different platforms. There is like some other stuff going on here. Twitter user @_silent_ said, I created the silent patch modification for the PC version of Scarface: The World Is Yours, and notes that the Epic Game Store version that was released early appears to ship with that silent patch, and another modification called Fusion Fix pre-installed. While not strictly necessary because of licensing, I guess, neither creator was contacted about the release in advance. And that has led some other people to be like, hey, Universal Pictures, do you know about this? Like, do you know did you like give the thumbs up to this? And there's some question about the provenance of that, of like whether or not this game is fully on the up and up with the rights owners. It's a weird one. What do you think's happening here?
I think someone's trying to get away with something. And they're not letting Dad know that they're taking the car out tonight. This is such a weird story because, first of all, technically mods are like they're in such a gray area because, yeah, if you're modding game, the rights holder still owns any like copyrighted assets to the game, and so like there's like not really a legal precedent for mods. I think it's kind of just like, well, get effed if like the people who own it decide that you don't own this or whatever. Granted, everybody's just been chill about it, of like, hey, the community made this thing, be cool. At the very least, like reach out to people. Sounds like and again, the story's still updating. I see in the chat there's like conflicting reports almost of like, well, maybe one of the authors of one of these mods was contacted or something like that. Right. So maybe one was, one wasn't, or something like that. Either way, the fact that one would say that they weren't is this is coming in hot and messy is what's happening here. Not to mention, I'm looking at the Steam page, and under the AI generated content disclosure, they do say certain elements in the game were improved using AI assisted techniques. Cool.
Yeah,
we know the kinds of things that means.
This definitely screams that too. It's like, this definitely sounds like the kind of thing where someone's like, hey, we could just use these tools, upgrade this thing real fast and put it out. Let's test it on this game. Oh, this looks good enough. Sell this, and then we'll contact the rights holders. I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that we're doing it. But one of the people who worked on the mod says, I know that the holder of the Scarface license wasn't willing to re-release the game, so this is suspect. And it's like, okay, I do tend to trust modders to a certain extent about, like, these are the people who are obsessed with these games. Like, they're spending all this time doing that stuff. I bet they have a certain insight, although of course there's always scene drama too, so who knows, maybe there's a lot more to that story.
Sometimes they do just reach out, and they do just know this because they reached out at one point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a strange beast, and I think we'll probably find out more. It's still listed on Steam. It's still listed on Epic Game Store. I think, like, looking at it, I think you could just buy it on Epic right now and start playing. Yeah, it says buy now, and that option is not available on Steam. So, yeah, I guess people can go try this for themselves and report back. It wasn't a great game to begin with, right, Scarface?
I never played this one. I actually had no
either.
idea. And let me see, Scarface, is this the one that? Because people liked one of those licensed games from back in the day, but was it Godfather?
No, maybe Godfather's the bad one, and Scarface was the okay one.
Okay,
that might be the case.
I do not remember. By the way, you can just buy it on Epic, apparently. Epic will just take your money. They don't care.
Yeah.
Epic don't mind.
Yeah, okay. And then also EC Digital. I don't know if I've ever heard that name before or know anything else that they've done. So yeah, this definitely seems like it's worthy of more investigation. Not that, like, oh, I will protect the rights holders. Whatever. I'll go play this right now in Epic. I don't give a shit. Just an interesting thing to see happen in a world where it's like these things are usually so locked down. To see someone kind of just come in and be like, hey, China don't care. We're going to do our thing. hell yeah. All right. God, this story just keeps popping up over and over again, but this is new information. The next Xbox console is a premium system which shares some of the, quote, thinking behind the ROG Xbox Ally, Sarah Bond says. Yeah, from Chris Scullion at VGC. Xbox President Sarah Bond has suggested the new Xbox console will share some of the thinking behind the recently released Asus ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X handhelds. In an interview with Mashable, it was put to Bond that the next Xbox console is rumored to be a hybrid system capable of playing both Xbox console games and PC games. While Bond wouldn't be drawn into confirming or denying this, her reply did suggest that the next Xbox system will have a high price point and will share at least some of the things in common with the ROG Xbox Ally devices. I can tell you you're right that the next gen console is going to be very premium, very high-end curated experience, Bond replied. You're starting to see some of the thinking that we have in this handheld, but I don't want to give it all away. I mean, what else could it be other than the fact that it's going to be a PC with a front end on it? Like, could it be anything else? I don't know. What do you think?
I can't imagine what else it would be, especially if, okay, maybe we overuse this quote, but when Sarah said that it would be like the biggest generational leap, we all assumed that meant, well, yeah, because at least one SKU will be a high-end PC. That'll be like, you know, the
safe assumption.
Xbox Series 2X, whatever the hell they're going to call that thing. We assume that's going to be a very powerful PC that you can put out for like $1,000, $1,200, something like that. You know, like mid-range to upper mid-range for a PC, but like insanely powerful for a console. I can't imagine what else they would do other than if she's saying like it has some of the thinking of the ROG Ally. Well, the thinking there, assuming that she's only referring to the things that people would see as good, because there's a lot of bad. I can't imagine.
Yeah, the thinking is we're going to charge you $1,000 or more.
Yeah, I can't imagine what else she would be talking about there if she wants to talk about good things. So presumably, yeah, it's going to be a PC, and they're going to really like hone in that Xbox app shell or the operating system. And if they're saying that, you know, in the AMD report or whatever, that it will have backwards compatibility, again, really hope that means that they're coming up with a compatibility layer, kind of like, Proton Linux for the Steam Deck or something like that, because you can't rely on quote unquote backwards compatibility being, well, the games that are on the Xbox PC app are compatible with this new Xbox. Like, that's not going to fly. So they really need to sort their shit out, and is the short version of it.
Yep. I will see what the thinking actually turns out to be. And I will continue to talk about the story, although I feel like how relevant Xbox is going to be to actual people going forward is an open question. But the Xbox is a place where people can sell video games, and this will affect how people decide to sell video games in the future. So I'm going to continue to be curious about it from that perspective, and then just to see, this company that spent $70 billion acquiring Activision, what is their appetite for building hardware for this audience anymore? I hope it doesn't go fully away, just because that shows a certain level of dedication to making games for those people, and I'm one of those people. So
yeah,
I want to see that, but I don't know. I wonder if a lot of this is just talk for now, and once that console is out, it will be, I don't know, forgotten like a Steam machine. I don't know, like how important is it going to be for them to support that thing?
The next Xbox or the ROG Ally?
The next Xbox, yeah. Just because, like how important is it going to be to them? Really, like their business model is to sell Call of Duty everywhere. So,
like, if that next console doesn't hit, they are out of the hardware market, as far as I'm concerned.
I think you're right.
Maybe you'll have Xbox branded things like the ROG Ally. ROG Xbox Ally X, right?
Yes. No Asus is actually in the name. It's ROG Xbox Ally X.
That's the trick there. But I imagine that would be the only thing Microsoft does moving forward, and they will not have something that they just call the Xbox moving forward, which is kind of what their strategy is in the first place. But that's also not a great sign if someone who has bought a ton of these studios doesn't have the console anymore that they were using as their Game Pass delivery service, because streaming still is not there yet. PC, you're not getting everyone on PC Game Pass, so you kind of need the console to like round out that strategy. If they don't have that, woof.
All right, let's get to the poll question. This one's from Monday.
Hold. Let's see if we have audio on the scene this time. Hang on. I think I got it.
Test 1, 2. Everybody, can you hear me? I'm here still. No? Hello?
I tried. No idea why it didn't work.
That's crazy. Okay, fun.
I thought Jan fixed it. He did not.
Yeah, all right. That's really bizarre. We're going to, you know what? We should just rebuild that scene from scratch. Okay. Are you interested in one of those DS-style handheld emulator devices? 3.5 thousand people voted. Did you see the results of this, Sean?
I did, and we had it up on screen for a little bit. It was 47% yes and 53 no.
Yeah, that's shocking to me. But I guess, man, the DS was very popular, wasn't it? Everyone had one of those things. The 3DS continued to also be very popular. Not everyone had one, but a lot of people did. And there's like probably a lot of games on there that people think about, oh, I can't play that any other way other than to get the DS back out. So if I'm going to get a new thing, maybe that'd be great. So I can go back to play those Pokemon games, or, there was a lot of like standout hits on those devices. But 47% seems high.
Oh yeah. Well, it's hard to get a DS in good shape.
Yeah, that's
true. Also, a lot of DS hardware is not that good. So like, especially something like the AY and Thor, which has dual OLED screens, it's going to be appealing to a lot of people who are used to just newer, better display technology. And also you can run all your emulated stuff and everything for roughly the price of what a new 3DS XL is going for nowadays, since they've gone up a little bit. They're around the 230 to 270, like it settles around 250, which is where the Thor comes in the first place. So even one of those premium DS clones people are looking at, especially the cheaper ones that are going to come in at like $100 and buy brand new and not to worry about being thrashed to hell by little Timmy on the secondhand market or whatever. I get it. I can see why that would be appealing.
I am going to probably end up getting one of these. I'm not sure yet which one still, though. So And the Thor is still a bit expensive in general for me, especially since I already have 3DSs laying around and 2DSs and a regular an original DS that I use. So I'm gonna like try to wait until I feel really good about it. But yes, still I don't know. Almost half of respondents saying that they're at least interested in one. We'll see if any one of these companies can really capitalize on that. I hope that the experience really gets nailed down, because the thing people are going to get annoyed by is if they have to like try to do a lot themselves. Although Android at this point, you could probably just get RetroArch up and running and it'll take care of the rest.
There's forks of the DS emulators and 3DS emulators that do just native dual screen support now. So
okay, that's fantastic.
Easier.
All right, very, very cool. All right, we have a new poll question we'll get to here in a second. First, Sean, where can people find you on the internet? What do you have going on? All that good stuff.
In this seat, doing a whole bunch of stuff in a very busy week, and then out there on the East Coast, Giant Bombathon, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern, Mike. And we're going for 24 hours. So make sure to hang out with us there. Make sure to keep it locked on Giant Bomb for the rest of the week, because we are doing all the normal shows. You're going to get your Game Us mornings. You're going to get your UPFs, dump trucks, your Dan getting blighted later today. All the stars are here. Beardy face.
It's going to be good. It's going to be fantastic. Yep. All right. Let's see here. New poll question. Did you play Remedy's FBC Firebreak? Yes or no? I did. I'll answer yes to this. I didn't play a lot of it, but I definitely played some, and I thought it was okay. But not. I also saw why it wasn't winning over a lot of people. But let's see what the results for this one are. We'll talk about it on the show tomorrow here on Giant Bomb. As Sean said, plenty of stuff happening today. Definitely get ready to hang out with us for the Bombathon next week. In the meantime, though, I think we should wrap the show up and say, Sean, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Always a fun time, Jeff.
Thank you all for watching and listening. Might do a This Is the Run here very soon. I'm going to check in with Dan as soon as I get off the call.
First run.
Yeah, this is going to be it. This is it. Really,
nice.
We're going to get it first try, of course. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.